It's championship week, and here at RotoBaller, we have some exciting news. Yes, ballers, ahead of the NFL playoffs, we've teamed up with Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market. And it's not your typical sports book. On Novig, you're playing against other real users, not the house, on a commission-free exchange, meaning betting odds are more in control. Right now, Novig is offering a purchase match of up to $25 when you sign up with code BALLER, and you'll also get 1 full month of RotoBaller Premium free. That's picks, projections, and tools to help stay sharp. Novig's available in most states, lets you take the best odds or offer your own, and even includes free Novig coins so you can play for fun. Download the Novig app, use code BALLER, and start playing smarter today. With that said, let's talk about DSTs. Here are 5 defenses that fantasy managers can trust with confidence in week number 17. And we're starting things off with the New York Giants as they take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith and the Raiders offensive line were up to their usual tricks there in week number 16. Smith not only threw an interception, but he tied Tua Tagovailoa with a league-high 15th interception in just 14 games. Further to the Raiders' futility, Smith was sacked on 3 more occasions last week, pushing his total up to about 52. And as a team, the Raiders have given up like 54 sacks this year. That's not good. New York enters this contest in the middle of the pack in terms of sacks with 35 on the season. But against the Vikings last week, they were able to get to J.J. McCarthy and Max Brosmere 4 times and held the duo to 160 passing yards on the afternoon. Las Vegas, they rank in the bottom 5 in rushing, passing, total scrimmage yards, and points scored. New York is a waiver wire must-add and start this week in fantasy championships. Let's not forget that New York, they just posted 15 fantasy points last week and was a top 5 DST for fantasy managers. Now, another defense I'm turning to this week, how about the Detroit Lions as they take on the aforementioned Minnesota Vikings? After a porous performance against the Steelers last week, in which Rodgers threw for more than 250 yards and a touchdown, Jalen Warren, he ripped this Lions defense apart. Everything that the Pittsburgh Steelers could do, it made the Lions look bad. Look for the Lions, though, to lick their wounds and rebound here against the Minnesota Vikings, a team that will likely be forced back to Brosmere under center after J.J. McCarthy was forced out of action last week with a hand injury. Now, the last time the Vikings and Lions met, Detroit, they held McCarthy to 14 of 25 passing for 143 yards, but McCarthy, he did have a success there, throwing for a pair of touchdowns and running in another. However, Detroit also had a pick and 5 sacks in that game. In Brosmere's previous start, he was sacked 4 times. He threw 4 interceptions against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Detroit is unlikely to repeat that performance, but the upside is too great to pass up. Another defense I'm firing up this week, how about the New Orleans Saints as they take on the Tennessee Titans? The top DST from week 16. They are a smash start here in week number 17. Yes, that's right. The New Orleans Saints will be more productive for fantasy managers than Mike Evans, Kyron Williams, and possibly even Trey McBride. That's how good this matchup can be. In week 16, New Orleans, they got to Brady Cook 8 times, forced an interception, and recovered a fumble, holding the Jets to 188 passing yards, 64 rushing yards, and just 6 points. Since week 10, the Saints defense has averaged 9.2 fantasy points per game. That is the 5th most. Another defense to go with this week, how about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they take on the Miami Dolphins? Now, it's too early to suggest that the Dolphins are going to go back to Tua Tagovailoa this week or continue to allow Quinn Ewers to audition for the backup role heading into the 2026 season. Tagovailoa, he is tied with Geno Smith with the most interceptions thrown this season, so the Dolphins, if they were able to go back to him, there's a good chance that the Buccaneers will be the beneficiary of a pigskin donation or 2. As for Quinn Ewers, he was a little bit better than advertised, completing 20 of 30 passes for 260 yards. But like Tua Tagovailoa, he was in the giving mood this holiday season, throwing a pair of interceptions on his own. All 3 of the Dolphins' scores came courtesy of the run game, which is somewhat alarming considering that the Bengals have allowed 20.5 fantasy points per game this season to the quarterback position, the 3rd most as they entered that contest. In the final start of the week, how about the New England Patriots as they take on the New York Jets? After watching Brady Cook get sacked 8 times last week and the Jets offense produced just 252 yards of total offense against the Saints, New England has an opportunity to finish championship week as the top scoring defensive unit in fantasy. The Jets' passing offense is the worst in the league this season, and there is no threat on the outside to keep the Patriots honest and prevent them from stacking the box against Breece Hall. New England was already a top 5 defense in terms of rushing yards allowed per game. That's not going to help things out here for Breece Hall and company. Here's where things go from good to great if you're going with the New England Patriots. New York's 22 turnovers this season, that is the 3rd most. They've thrown 12 interceptions, they've lost 10 fumbles. They're a team that loves to give, especially this time of the year. And that's not all. New York's offensive line, they have been absolutely offensive this season, and not in the good sense. They've surrendered a league-high 58 sacks this year. New England, they have broken 10-plus fantasy points on 6 occasions before they entered Sunday Night Football Showdown against the Baltimore Ravens. New England is all but certain to add to that total this week. And if you haven't already done so, hit that like button, hit that follow button, and be sure to head to RotoBaller.com for all the latest fantasy news and analysis. We'll see you next time. Merry Christmas.